Hey guys, welcome back. Andrew here with Ambient Endeavors, and today we're talking about a pedal that has endured the test of time and kind of persisted in my collection of pedals for a number of years now, back to really kind of when I started doing this channel. I can remember guys like Mark Johnston and TJ Dumpster and others kind of fawning over this pedal as a really cool, shimmery, kind of ambient experimental texture. And so I had to pick one up and see what it was all about. And years later, it's still one that stays in my collection and gets used regularly for the kind of ambient, glitzy, glittery textures and layers in some of my pieces. We're talking about the Montreal Assembly Count to 5. I have it here in a little box exclusive mustard yellow, which I'm a big fan of. Shout out to Matt Lowry for the recommendation on the hue that we did this pedal in. We've done a number of runs of them. We've still got a few left in the shop here over at Little Box, but I wanted to shoot this video as sort of a kind of walkthrough of some of the ways I approach the pedal and use it, some of the little tips and tricks I would offer to get started with this pedal, and really just go through specifically mode 1 of the Count to 5 and showcase a few different ways that you can use it. This pedal is really cool, it's really fun. I find it to be one that just kind of opens up doorways of sounds and textures whenever I plug it in. It can also be a pedal that might be a little frustrating to you as you're getting to know it, or if you're just kind of getting into ambient or experimental sounds. And so I hope that this video can help just give you some starting points, give you some little tricks and tips to make things a little bit easier, or kind of to get things rolling as you start to create and play along with this pedal. A good starting point, I think, is to just say that this pedal, in my opinion, is a very interactive pedal. It's one of those pedals that I find myself really playing to. There are pedals you can plug in and turn on and just kind of play how you'd play, and it will do its thing and everything will be fine. I think with the Count to 5, it's really a very interactive experience where I don't even always know what's going to come out the other side, but that's the fun of it for me. And I think the unique challenge of kind of playing with and interacting with what's happening in the pedal and kind of allowing that to guide you as you create and as you write and as you play. That was sort of what I just did for about 15 minutes here, as you'll kind of see broken up into a few sound sections. And I think it's a really fun, a really kind of creatively rich experience when you have a pedal like this that demands some kind of real-time interaction, some kind of call and response, some give and take. And so that's kind of just a preface and maybe a philosophical comment about this Count to 5 pedal that might help you as you kind of are approaching it. You heard in the intro bit there, one of my absolute favorite uses for this pedal, kind of creating those long, trailing, shimmery bits underneath your playing. That's really the primary sound I go for when I pick up the Count to 5. It just has a really fun way of, again, creating those somewhat uncertain, kind of shimmery, trailing textures and blips that adds a really beautiful shimmery kind of texture underneath your playing and behind it. That's one of my favorite settings on the pedal. It comes from a pretty low mix setting where I've got the length of the buffer near max or max to give a really long trailing kind of delay time, and setting the feedback to a modest level where you have a little bit of feedback without making it be too overwhelming in the trailing effect that it creates. This is, again, a pedal that I think a little bit goes a long way in, so I tend to keep the mix control down below 9 o'clock to just kind of add elements and little bits of texture without overshadowing my playing. I often want to kind of pull out the subtleties and kind of the modest side of this pedal and use it in the context of my pieces so that you can kind of hear and feel the textural elements of it, but it doesn't overshadow what's going on in the whole piece. Similarly with the feedback control, I like to keep that fairly moderate too, because as you'll know, if you have this pedal, it can start to kind of really engulf and kind of run away with an excessive amount of feedback. So I kind of keep that control around 9 o'clock or kind of on that side of the knob as well. Another really cool application with the Count to 5 that I kind of discovered again doing this video is using it as just kind of a lo-fi, somewhat glitchy pitch shifter. You can do that by turning the length control way down to one of the first couple positions and giving a really short, very short delay time, and then having the feedback again sort of somewhere in the lower third of the knob turn. For this type of sound, I could turn the mix up to noon or a little bit beyond to kind of have that pitch shift effect come out more prominently in the mix. But it's a really fun way to kind of utilize this pedal, which a lot of ways can be more of like a shimmery reverse delay or kind of longer, more rhythmic or repeating type of effect, as more of a pitch shift kind of immediate type effect. So we're going to hear a little bit of how the Count to 5 in that setting can be a fun kind of lo-fi pitch shifter. This pedal, I really think, benefits from having other pedals around it in context. I think that at its core, it's a fairly sterile sounding pedal, and I don't say that as a negative. It's just sort of a product of the design and kind of what it's mainly doing. It's mainly creating these kind of like reverse delay and repeating shimmery kind of textures like a digital delay would do, and it's not really offering a ton of tone shaping around it. So for me, I like to put things in front of it and behind it that can really help to kind of refine and round out the tonality of the pedal. In this video, I'm using the Origin Effects DCX Boost as sort of a preamp to give some character and texture, make it a little more interesting sounding, and then running it into a Non-Human Audio Slow Loris, another Little Box exclusive there if you're interested in picking that up. But that's kind of this lo-fi modulator kind of envelope controlled responsive modulator slap echo type effect that gives some just unique nuance to the tone coming into the Count to 5. And then after Count to 5, I always put a reverb pedal to just kind of help soften those shimmery repeats and give some depth and dimension to it. When I'm using Count to 5, I'm often using it in the context of ambient kind of shimmery textures and pad-like textures, and so I like to just kind of wash those out with some reverbs, and we're doing that with the Flint here throughout this video. We're going to show another context that I love to use Count to 5 in. This one is a low mix setting, again with a more moderate delay time, but here I'm really being intentional with my playing pretty delicately, selecting single notes and sort of pseudo melodies throughout the playing that can kind of allow the Count to 5 to just take those notes and reproduce its shimmery kind of effect with them in whatever way it may, and kind of just allowing the pedal to create these musical moments and these kind of textural jumps and flutters and shimmers. So this again highlights that interactive nature of the pedal, where I'm really trying to kind of listen while I'm playing and play to what I'm hearing the pedal doing, and kind of adapt on the fly with that. Check it out. The last clip I'll share here is a similar type of setting, but I'm using the count to 5 a little bit more intentionally as kind of a rhythmic delay. And again, I'm patterning my playing after that rhythmic element of the count to 5 and really trying to kind of play to the pedal again to create these fun kind of moving rhythmic delay type sounds in it. And while you are limited to the 10 different delay time stops on this pedal, you can kind of find a way to pattern your either writing or playing around those tempos. And again, it kind of forces you to play to that pedal and play with it without the ability to really dial in a precise tempo or BPM there. So it's a limitation, it can be a challenge, but it's also kind of a fun way to handcuff yourself and see what you can come up with creatively as you're playing to the pedal there. So that's a quick rundown of one of my favorite experimental ambient pedals, the Montreal Assembly Count to 5. You can pick up this specific version in the mustard yellow at Little Box, like I mentioned. And I hope this gives you a good kind of starting point, a little bit of an overview or contextual kind of approach to specifically mode 1 of the Count to 5. Drop any comments or questions you've got below. I definitely didn't cover every element, but this is more meant to kind of showcase the ways that I personally use it and kind of the fun ways that you can get different sounds and different experiences out of the Count to 5. Thanks for watching. Take care.